Thanks, Felicia. Hey guys, happy Friday. Welcome to our Friday beading class. I missed you guys last week and the week before. We went out to Creativation and that was an awesome time. And so we're happy to be back. And I have a new seed bead wall. How cool is this? As a lot of you have heard, the new seed beads are now in store at Michael's. So it's an expansion of Czech seed beads, in addition of some new Miyuki seed beads in different sizes, and an expansion of the Delica's collection, as well as Toho. Lots of beads to choose from. I had a really fun time trying to make it all fit on, inside of a camera view, right? so they're all behind me now and they're all available online. We have a shopping guide if you want to see everything that's new and the Michael's SKU number for it. It's in this PDF shopping guide that we created and we've been dropping it in the chat. You can also find it in our Facebook group, and it's also available to download from blog.johnbead.com. So you can find it all those places. If you are still looking for it, be sure to drop us a chat or contact us after class and through like social media or somewhere like that, and we will get a copy your way. All right, so today's class is a technique foundation that we will build on in a two-part series. So this is part one of a two-part class, and we're going to make the foundation for a bracelet that has an embellishment on top. So I'm wearing the one that has the diagonal, which is this one here. And then there's a way you can make a little more beginner-friendly version with just kind of a straight stitch going across. So both of these techniques are super, super easy, the embellishment technique and the foundation technique. So today's class is we're going to create the base. And there's a couple ways you can do it, and I'm going to show both ways. If you are somebody who enjoys looming, I'm going to do a quick refresher on setting up a loom to make the foundation, and then square stitch is an off loom method that gives you the same exact result. There's, little subtle differences in the feel of the stitch when it's finished, but for the most part, as far as like how it works for what we're going to do in part two, this is all you need, and one of these techniques is all you need to make it work. All right, so thanks Felicia. I'm going to turn my lights on, make it a little brighter for you guys really quick. And what I have here on the mat is closer view of the embellished version for next week. And this is all downloadable now. You can get that on the class registration page. Here's a close-up view of the straight stitch one. And these bases were made just using clear or crystal silver lined. I kind of oscillated between the two. They both look really nice. That have just a really beautiful base. I think this one I did the clear on. Let me see if I can see this one here. Yeah, I did clear on that one. So it disappears. You don't really see it very much once it's got the top on it. But it is fun to play with, and it's a great way to use maybe a lesser used color from your stash. And so even though I used clear here, I am going to work with a brighter color today so you can see the structure of the stitch. And that way it'll just be a lot easier to see. But feel free to use any colors you want. So in the case of all of these, it is made with size 8. So a size 8 Czech. And you can make this with both Czech and with the new Miyuki. So there are, let me just grab this really quick. There are also size 8 Miyuki now in store. So if you would like to use that, you can. So you can use anything. 8-0 Czech, 8-0 Miyuki. 8-0 is a good size for this project if you're doing the embellishment with us in part 2, because the way that that PDF is written assumes you have an 8-column design with edge spacing that's about the same as an 8-0 seed bead. So keep that in mind for next week, but the technique I'm going to show you today can be done with any size beads. Okay, so yeah, let's dive in. We'll start with square stitch, which is the off loom method, and then we'll switch to just a quick demo on loom, and then I'll show how to put a little seed beaded ending on it. The little loop here at the end, which can be done with some 11-0, and I actually used Toho on that. I used Toho for this. All those part numbers are in the part 2 handout that are used there. Okay, so let's set these aside just for now. And I'm going to work with 2 colors of the Czech 8-0. I'm going to start with a really nice, easy to see, opaque turquoise. And I think given the color of my background, that we can continue to work with the frost. It shows up pretty nicely, but give me a shout if you feel like I should use a different color. I feel like this one is standing out pretty well here. And so I wanted to just talk really quickly about square stitch and thread as I'm getting this ready. So the thing about square stitch is it's a really, really thread hungry stitch. It uses at least 3, maybe 4 wingspans. And when I say wingspan, I mean like 60 inches or so. And to give you an example of what that looks like in practice, here's a square stitch piece that I started. That'll be one of my samples for part 2. And I started with a 10-inch tail, just like it says in the handout. And so that left me about 50 inches. And I got to there before I had to add thread. I leave my tails in place so I can say like how many rows you get. So 50 inches of thread gives you that many rows. And here's the next add. And this one I did another full 60 inches, full wingspan. I'm down to this. I'm going to show you adding thread with the sample. So you don't get much, but this is a really, really sturdy stitch. If you want to make something strong and you want to make a nice foundation base, square stitch is really good for that. Takes a long time, uses a lot of thread, but it's really, really solid and it's easy to work the finishing on it, easier than loom, for example. So it's kind of like a, which one do you like more? And loom, when we take this one off the loom, you'll see, gives you a more flexible, flowy finish because there's less passes through the seed beads. It also uses less thread, but some folks feel like it's not as sturdy, especially when you're up in sizes working with Toho. If you find that's a problem, you can always switch to using the 0.008 Wildfire instead of the 0.006. But for the most part, I've been using 0.006 and it's been fine for me. So it's just a little more flowy if you do loom, and it's a little stronger and more sturdy if you do square. This is the square stitch here. All right, so let me grab a needle and thread, and I'm just going to show you the base of the stitch. And if you want to follow along with what we're doing for next week, you're going to want to start with stringing up a total of 8. And then you want to go ahead and create a, did I use all the tube? No, I didn't actually. I have a lot left. And in both cases, you'll probably use about half a tube to make about a 7-inch base, maybe 6 3/4, something like that. Oh yeah, and I saw in the chat, someone is asking, where is Maria Velasquez? If she is here, she is the loom champion. And she is also really awesome. She answers questions in the group for us about loom. I've seen she's posted a few things that are very inspiring, more than a few things. So Maria, if you're here, this class is your jam. So there's 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So there's our first row. I'm going to string that. And remember to leave a 10-inch tail because we're going to use that to do our closure at the end. And I'm just eyeballing it. It's roughly 10 inches. And so you'll have all of these. And just lay them down for now. Pick up one new bead. And how about I work that next row in a different color so you can really see what's going on row by row. Okay, so here's my new bead. Pick up one and separate out the last bead that you strung. And then you want to come around and go through it. We're making a ladder stitch sort of. In fact, it is kind of the same as doing a ladder in this case, where we're making a circle, we're coming around and going back through the bead, and then we're just going to pull this really tightly. And what I like to do to keep everything in place, to keep my tail from losing its spot, is I'll just hold everything pull tight. And there you go. So what'll happen is that bead will sit kind of side by side like that. And what you want to do is just come right back through it. So a lot like your ladder stitching. And just hold everything in place with your fingers. Let's get another bead. So you've got one more here. And we're going to go ahead and go through the next bead in the same way. So we're going to go through bead number 2 here in this row. And you're heading through it in that direction. So just through that bead. And yeah, Kelly's asking if we can do a different color pattern so the bracelet can be reversible. Absolutely. Yeah. This is square stitch for anybody who's new to like loom patterns. If you've seen a really beautiful loom pattern out there and you want to make it, but you're not quite ready to do the loom thing, square stitch can be used to work loom patterns, any design you like with any beads. It's also a really great way to finish a loom piece if you need to add rows. Sometimes you take it off the loom and you need to add a few rows. This is the way to do it. So far, so good. So we're gonna just keep repeating this. And it looks like, oh my goodness, this will take forever. It gets faster. I'm working slowly right now just so you can get the feeling of it. But once you've got the technique down, you kind of do get faster and faster. Every row just speeds up. And so even though it does take a little bit of time, it's not too bad. So see, we're just gonna pick up a bead, go back through. And every time you're doing the add, you're just going back through the next bead. So just pull tight. And there you go. And you just keep going. Add a new bead, go back through the one that's next in your row, go back and pull tight. And it's actually a really relaxing stitch to do. And the beads just pop right in place. If you get any loose spots, pull each one. Just tighten it up as you go. Last one for this row. And again, I'm just pulling the tail and the working thread and tighten it all up. So there's 2 rows. And this is an optional step. I show this in the handout. Some people do this and some people don't. The person who taught me does this, so that's kind of what I've always done is going back through it. So we finish this row, and you can clean everything up, make it all extra strong by going back all the way through row 1. And you'll do this with like each previous subsequent row, right? So we'll go back through this one. And then back up through this whole row we just created. So there you go. That's, whoop, jumping away. Yeah, it's really pretty. It comes out so nice and very sturdy. So let's do another row just so you can get the feeling of it. And one of the things that I've noticed with like placement for how to hold it is it's easier for me personally to go through if I'm going this direction. So you can flip your work and work it from either side. So for example, if you want to work it this way, you can come back down to the bead. If you want to work it this way, I find after row 2, it's just a little easier because these get tight. They get really tight. So you got to be able to get through each individual bead. So here's my new bead. And I'm going to go back through that one and pull tight. And so it'll just sit right like that. Come back down through it. So let's finish this row really quick. We'll go up through this one. And some of the other tricks I want to share are for getting in between these beads. You can kind of curl it over your finger like that. See, let me show you on a side. See, like this. It'll help you get in between each one. So just through that yellow bead, the second yellow bead there, and then back through the one we just added. Just pops right in place. And one thing about this stitch that also is really cool is it because it's self-reinforcing. So you don't ever have to go back and fix anything. Spacing usually comes out really nicely too, just naturally by the way all the beads are added. And then let's see, some other cool things to say about this stitch is that as long as you can make it work as far as at the spacing, it's possible to do different bead sizes. So it gets a little advanced. Maybe we'll do something like this in the future if you guys like this stitch. But I've seen folk bring in some 6/0, for example. And what you want to do then is it would maybe cover up most of 2 8/0 beads. So you can add a 6/0 and loop through 2 8/0, for example. Those patterns get a little more advanced, but they're not too bad. And we could come up with something like that. Maybe put some crystal in there. Because this is very freestyle. Like you can just go to town, right? And you see how it gets faster. We just did 1 row just while we were chatting here. It doesn't take very long at all. So back through this one, optional here. If you like this, go for it. If you don't, you can skip this part and just go to the next row.
Danielle?
Yeah.
Do me a favor, when you teach row 4, just teach it just slightly slower.
Sure.
One or two people missed the first one, so tell them what you're turning, how you're turning.
Yeah, so the concept to think about is what you're really going to do is ladder stitch a new bead onto every bead here. So if you pick up the new bead color, you're going to do it 1 bead at a time, and you're making a circle. So if you're coming out this side, you're going to loop around and go back through just that first bead. And when you do that, you get that bead popping just right on the side, and then continue in your circle and come up through that same bead. I'm going to go right back through it. And then I'm just going to hold everything with my fingers, make it tight. So essentially you're just putting a new bead right on the side of each of these beads. So I've got a new bead on my needle here. And I'm going to come back through. Just that bead right there. And then just pull that tight. And see, it'll just sit nice side by side, just like that. And then you just want to pop up through that same bead. So in every case, we're just dealing individually, one by one, with each bead. Pops right on. Just come right up through that bead. And this is what I'm doing here is just to get in between, because you're trying to get through 1 bead. And if your stitching is tight like mine, it can help to fold it like that. See how I'm kind of like folding it? And that enables me to get through just the 1 bead that I'm aiming for. And then just right up through that bead. So halfway done with that row. Right up through this one. And you'll want to help your thread, make sure it stays in the front. Or, woo! I'm using some pretty tight tensions. So launched that one into the monitor there. But so far so good. And another tight fit. So let's bend it. Because we just want to get through that 1 bead, the one we're trying to nestle the new bead next to. Just like that. Come up to that bead and pull tight. Last one. All right. And so again, this is another optional thing. The trick of going back through it. So going back through all of those, what it does is it just lines everything up just a little bit more. It does consume thread, but it really helps it pop into place really nicely like that. And so I usually do it, but given that we're going to embellish these and we're going to cover them, if you feel like you want to skip that last little loop through, it is okay to do that. Your stitch will still work. It just gives it a little bit of more strength. So I do it, and it adds a little bit of thickness on the sides. You can see on this one over here that like it adds quite a bit of thickness. But it's still easy to get through it. So how's everyone feeling about square stitch? Do you want to see adding thread? And show that really quick.
Danielle, I think showing how to add thread is always important.
Yeah, let's go to that. And there is a replay, guys, that is available for all of our classes. That's on YouTube. So the square stitch, if it didn't click just now, don't worry, the replay will be out probably on Monday. And that's a really great way to, catch up if something is just a little bit, not clicking yet. So in this case, I got to where I had about a little under, this is probably like 8 inches, maybe almost 9 inches of thread. And you want to stop there. And what I do often is I will leave my old working thread in place when I add thread. I just leave it behind. And at the end, I'll weave it forward into the new rows that are created. And that'll mean you're not making so many passes through your beads. Because for this one, when I wove in the new strand, and I'm going to show you that here, I wove it in using this area to kind of turn and make those little locking turns. So when I weave this old one in, I'm going to weave it up over here. Same with this one. I'm going to leave this one in place for now. And when I have new rows to weave into, I'll weave it into those new rows. So let's add a new strand. I'm going to have to find that later. I dropped the one we were just making, guys. Okay, so let's just add a little bit here. I would add a full wingspan for this, but I'm going a little short just because I'm on camera and sometimes I hit my camera and my arms are going. And then I didn't show this at the beginning, but one of the tricks for Wildfire that you can use now is you can take your chain nose and flatten the end of it, make it easier to get your needle on. Okay, and then just fold over as much as you need to make it a comfortable working length for you, and head to the piece and count back at least 3 rows. 3 or 4 is fine. And I'm going to go down through all of these beads. So I went through the whole row there. And this isn't a hard, fast rule. This is just kind of like whatever works for you. It's just easier for me to hold this tail on the side. And my goal now is to make a bunch of turns until when I pull on this, it doesn't move anymore. So let's turn up through here. And in this case, maybe go through like 4 beads there and tight. And then I'm going to make a turn back through. It looks like I got through these 2 here. And it's not important how many beads you get through, just the important thing is to make these turns. It's already getting nice and tight. There's another turn. And this time, let's say I'll head it all the way through those. And let's just do a quick test and see if this tail moves when we pull. It can move a little bit, but it's actually doing pretty well. So what I'm going to do is go down through here. And I've got my new working strand. And the cool thing about square stitch is if you end up on a different spot than your old working thread, it doesn't matter, no problem, because it's the same stitch no matter what. We're flipping it back and forth. The only thing I would give you as like just a word of caution is if you're working with a pattern, if you're doing a loom pattern, just pay attention to your left and your right, and you can always identify that with your original tail. That will tell you what's front and what's back, if that's important to you in your design. For what we're doing today, it doesn't matter. So I didn't really try that hard to get to be in the same spot as my old working thread. It works out for me sometimes, but not always. So let's just do one more test, make sure it's nice and tight. And this isn't moving here, so I'm going to trim it. Just going to get rid of that tail really quick. And now I'm ready to carry on with my stitch. So again, just leaving this old one in place. I would start creating new rows from here with the with the new thread. And then you just take that old tail and you just make a few turns and trim it. That's all you got to do. Yeah, and so yeah, it's not easy to differentiate this from loom when your piece is finished. I think the way that if somebody asked me to make a guess, is this loom or is it square? Two ways that I would kind of peek at it to tell, reverse engineer it. I would look at the number of passes on the side, feel for how flowy it is. If it's extra thick, if it feels stronger, that's probably square. And then last but not least, if you can see little end loops here, it's probably loom. If it's loom, you'll have a little loop on every other one, unless somebody's square stitched out from it, in which case you got to kind of inspect back a little bit and see if there's any little loopies thrown in there. But depending on how somebody finishes it, they could hide that. So it's, it's hard to tell. So, but there you go. There's square stitch, and we're right on the half an hour. So I thought I would switch to loom unless anyone has any questions about this one. We'll do a quick little loom refresher, and then
You're
hopefully
good.
to throw the ends on.
Danielle, you're good.
Good. Okay. All right. So with a loom stitch, with finishing loom, lots of different ways you can do it. Every loom has its own manufacturer manual that tells you how to start warping it. And so what a warp is are these threads right here. These are your warps. And your weft thread is the thread you're doing the weaving with. And we'll show all that. But I have a way that I like to finish them that involves starting it with without having cut strands. So I like to loop around. So what I'm going to do is just tighten these ends just a little bit. And I want to show a trick really quick in case this is the loom you guys are using. If you're using like the cutie jewel loom and stuff, you don't have to do this step. But I'm going to find a pair of pliers here. Actually, one of these will look even better if I have it. Pliers is probably good. You might need to just kind of use something to hold in place one of the sides when you're doing this part, just to tighten it. So, sorry. I have another little tool that I like to use. It's just like a little flat metal. There we go. So you just need to have something that can get into these little grooves here and hold it in place. You can also use your thumbnail, but my nails always break when I do that. So, but I've seen folks do that too. Okay, there's one side done. And on this side, I'm not going too crazy with tightening it yet because I want to be able to tighten it one more time to get my tension right. And in this case, I did use my nail a little bit. That was a little shorter on that side. Okay, so all set right there. Oh, use a dime. Marguerite says use a dime. Yes, absolutely. That's another great way to do it. I was looking for my bead scooper, but I couldn't find it. Sometimes I use the end of my bead scooper. I think a dime would be better. And my bead scooper is right here. That would have been, I wasn't looking in the right spot. Okay. So for looming, you want to work off your spool. So just have your spool ready. And this is something that I do that's a little weird. So bear with me on this weird one. I actually knot it to the side. The manuals for these types of looms won't tell you to do this. This is just the me way, and it's because it's just easier for me to get it free later. And it doesn't get in the way of me making my loops. So just quickly double knot that onto the side. When you do that, it should kind of snuggle behind. It should snuggle just behind the, whatever this is called, the little bolts there. So there's 1 and 2. Okay. So just quick little double knot there. Nice and tight. Okay. So I'm going to take this and loop around the little button there. And then come over. And so we're going for eight beads across per row. So we need to do 9 warps. And just pick a spot, any spot. So we get there. Yeah, that looks straight. Okay. This side, you just want to go over the button. And now come up through an adjacent coil. Right there. Keep going. Loop around. And so I'm just going to keep going. I'm just looping and looping. Go around the button. Go this way. And try to keep your tension even. We're going to tighten it at the end, but just if you pull one strand tighter than the other at this step, sometimes it makes the other ones too loose, the ones you did before. So I'm always a little gentle and a little mindful of that when I'm warping them. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And here's number 9. Okay. Around the button one time. And then come over here. And we're going to do the same thing, knot it to this corner, go around once. And then go ahead and go around a second time just to make that strong. We're going to need to trim this now. And what I like to do is come up from behind that thread, just however I can get under it. There we go. And start with a surgeon's knot. So keep this loop intact and just grab, go once, and then twice through that loop. So that's knot number 1. And go ahead and pull that down toward the little bolt there. Let's do that one more time. And this time I just did a regular knot. So that should do it. If you feel like you need to go around one more time, go ahead. And we just cut this at the end, and then it's really easy to yeah, Susie says she loves her jewel loom. I love my jewel loom too. Yeah, it's a lot easier to tighten, but I'm going to show you a way, if this is the loom you've got, how to do it on this one too. This one it's actually a little easier once you get the hang of it. So if you go forward just a little bit with this, so I loosened this just a tiny bit, and I'm just going to push this forward, and then I need to tighten it up. And if you need to, use a dime, your nail. Here I've got my bead scoop. And there we go. So that feels pretty good. Nice warped. I've got 9 warps. Cut a new strand. We'll just go short for this one. Same thing here. I'm going to just flatten the end. And I need another needle. Let's grab one of those. All right, so get my needle threaded. And let's start making some rows. We're doing good on time. Okay, good. So it doesn't matter which side you start with. Either one is totally fine. You want to pick up your 8 beads. So here's my 8 beads right here. And then I bring them down, leaving about another 10-inch tail or so. And what I like to do is go back through just this first row. You might want to do this just to help you get it on the loom. And this is the only time you'll have to do this. Don't pull through, just use it to stabilize the beads. So to bring this underneath the warps here and just line them up. And go ahead and take that needle out. So there you've got your beads lined up in between. And as you're going back through the beads, notice when we placed them, we came up from underneath and we got them in between here, each one. Now we're going to make a pass back through those beads. But we're going to try not to go under these. We're going to stay above. We're going to stay above the warps now. So going through the beads, making sure I stay above. If you miss it, the bead will just fall out. So you'll see it right away. And you can also test to make sure you haven't punctured any threads by just moving it. Make sure it can move. And then go ahead and pull that thread all the way through. So there's row 1. Just right on there. And I like to use my scooper as a way to line them up and test that I didn't puncture anything again. If I need to do that on future rows, you can use this the same way. All right, let's do another row. I'll move this down a little bit. Okay. So let's do about 4 rows, and then I want to focus on finishing because that's where I think most folks struggle. And if you're using the Jewel Loom, I've done some content with the Jewel Loom. If you look for a class with Meredith Roddy and me, this was a couple of years ago, but it's on Michael's YouTube. And that shows how to warp that loom if you've got that one. Yeah, you can just search on the Michael's YouTube page and you'll find it. It's Looming with Danielle and Meredith, I think is what we called it. We creatively named it. So there's row 2. And again, it's still moving. So one thing I wanted to note is if you're using this loom, the entire space here is a little short. So you can roll it over the bar, but I think this will be fine for me given how I'm going to finish it. But you might want to work as close as you can to the coils just to get the maximization of however many rows you can fit. So I'm gonna, while I'm here and remembering to do that, slide it back a little bit. All right, so let's do 2 more rows. Let's get the next set of beads on here. I'm picking up 8 beads. There's 8. And notice I brought my thread under first before I started doing my pickups. My beads are over here, just picking them up here. So I went under, picking them up, slide them down. When you slide them down, they're just going to nestle for you just right there. And then just pop it up. Use your finger to pop it up. And go back through all those beads. Being really mindful not to hit the warp threads and to stay above those warp threads. If you need to test it, feel free to test it every row if you'd like. You can get your scooper and then just isolate that row. If it moves, you got it. If the bead didn't fall out, you definitely stayed above it. And eventually you'll just be able to kind of feel that and you won't have to test every time. So 8 more beads. There's 8 more. Back through. And so on. So you're using medium tension. And you just want to very gently just start going. And eventually you'll have your whole piece done. So how's everyone feeling about the looming? I was going to move to showing and finishing, taking it off and finishing. Kind of a whirlwind class for us today.
You're good to go, Danielle.
Good to go? All right. So all you got to do is loosen these guys up again. And if you need help with your handy scooper or dime, loosen that up on that side. Same thing on this side. Okay. And I'm just going to remove the loops from each button. And then feel free to cut it free from here. You can also completely remove this if you wanted to. Just, not have to cut next to the button, but I just cut it, get it to come free. All right, same thing over here. So I'm going to get that free from the button and then free from right here. My scissors work a little better toward the back there. And if you have anything like this, feel free to trim that if it doesn't just immediately pull free for you. Okay, and so then you have this snarly mess and you're like, ah. So it's like, was square stitch the way to go? Maybe. But there's ways. There's always ways. Okay. So lay out your piece, take a deep breath, and don't be scared. As I'm talking to myself, we're gonna pull the warps in. And everyone's who's seen our other class I did with Meredith, we did this on that class too. So there's a few ways to see it. We used Bead Loom in that one, so you can see it with different cords. But I'm gonna go ahead and just pull these warps through, get rid of them. If you want, you can weave them in, but see how short they are? Because I didn't go around the bar a bunch of times. I was trying to preserve thread a little bit. So weaving each of those in individually, even on a piece this thin, would take a long time. So what I like to do, and this is why it's important not to puncture, if you puncture your threads while you're stitching, this doesn't always work. And so it's kind of like a moment of truth where you find out, but it can still help you get halfway there. Like for example, some of them will pull in, and if you get one that just, you don't want to force it, don't insist, because it'll snag it up real bad. But you can weave just in the ones that didn't quite work out, right? Usually now, I've been doing this a while, I have pretty good luck. It doesn't 100% always work for me, but what I like to do, it'll be tight on you the first time. Grab, first of all, identify, number one, identify your warps from your weft. Your weft will be coming out of a bead. They'll be heading onto the side. Ignore them for now, and let those not be the ones you pull on. Just ignore them for now. They're just going to be hanging out. We're going to pull on the side warp. So this is one of the ones we just cut free from the little knob on the side. We had a little knot on it. So I'm just going to grab this right here with my pliers just to give me something to hold on to. Flatten it and pull. So watch up here. This one should come right in if I'm lucky. All right. And so the little loop, it's just going to nestle right there. I could probably tighten up just a smidge. Let's go ahead and do that. There we go. And be really gentle here. You don't want to cinch your work. But see, you don't even notice it. It doesn't detract from the quality of your work. And a lot of looms, you're going to see that little loop anyway. So there's that. So we pulled down first, right? So now we're going to pull up. So we're going to go under and just grab. You want to make sure you're grabbing the next strand, which for us is this one right here. So I'm just going to pinch it with my pliers. Again, I'm going to hold my piece to keep the nice pretty shape of it going. And then what's happening down here is you can see this little loopy loopy, it's going away. It's going to go right up next to the bead on the bottom and just vanish. And then we're just going to head down here and do the same thing. Grab the next bead, grab the next strand from that next column of beads, which for us is this one right here. Hold everything tight. As you do this, these loops are going to get extra long. They might try to pull other loops in with them. They just keep getting them out of the way. That one that's hugging that loop. There we go. And gently making it snuggle there. Okay, come back up here. Pull on this one. Just next strand. We're just going to the very next one. And every time we do these loops are going to get amazingly long. Imagine doing this with like a 16er. I've done loom like stitches with like 16 columns. And that warp strand at the end is so long. You basically have like enough thread to do another project. Just wind it onto a bobbin and save it, right? So that's another cool reason I like this is if you are using really nice thread, you can save it. Okay, just keep going. Bloop. Going. There's that. Got one more to go. So you'll have a much easier time if you're doing this like on a bead mat, then because I'm kind of using a harder surface, but it won't slide on you. Like I'm pushing down really hard because my surface is not, it's kind of slippy. If you're on a bead mat, it wouldn't do this to you. Okay, we got our last one. So, and if you guys tuned into that class a couple years ago, when we were working on the one with the Belon, you know, the edge of these are always tighter. Because remember when we were doing our sewing, we were going under and over and under and over, and we are pulling really tight on these. The tightest part in every loom piece is going to be your connection on this side, because you've got a lot of friction. You've got every single turn of thread coming over it, right? So on this one, when you go to pull on it, it's not immediately going to move for you. And you're going to think, oh, no, it didn't work. Just keep going, keep going. So you want to go ahead and pinch that with your pliers. And then this is where you want to really hold your piece and give it a good pull. And it might take a little strength, but once you get it going, it'll be just fine. Just don't let that scare you, because it is going to be a lot tighter on your right side. There we go. All right. Okay, so now we've got a super, super, super long work. You probably don't need all that length. If you have a bunch, go ahead and coil that around a little thread card and save it for later. It could be used to add thread in your square stitch or something. And then you've got all these left to deal with, but it's only 3 strands as opposed to like all those millions, right? So way easier. I'd much rather deal with a small number of strands. And I still have my needle for my looming on here. So what I'm going to do super, super quick is show how to do our end. So in the handout, whoop, I'm throwing beads, guys. There's this quick little easy loop that we did, and that's just to attach your finding. See, it just jumps out. So let me grab some of my Toho seed beads really quick. I have those in here. These will be brighter to see, so I'm going to grab these. You can use either, you know, 11-0 Czech, you can use 11-0 Miyuki. I just had this color out because that happens to be one of the colors that's going to go into our embellishment next week. So that's what I'm using here. And for now, we're just going to need a few. And with the loom piece, you see how we've got all those little loops? And you don't even really see them. They don't detract from the quality of our finished piece. But what you can do is you can just kind of like go around. So we're exiting right now from this bead here. You can do one of two things. You can either jump over it, which is what we kind of did here, right? We jumped over it and went through. But another thing you could do if you want, if you can see it, sometimes it's tricky to see it, but do you see on the side how our warp is kind of flowing right into that bead just along the side? And my current weft thread is exiting from behind it. See that? So my weft thread moving there. You can jump over the warp and go through the bead. Just gotta make sure you catch that warp. So if you can see that, see how you can just leap over it. That's another way you can do it. But also you can just do a good little jump over it, and it'll just be another one of those little loops you see there. So you want to exit from the center tube, and we're just going to loop 4 seed beads. If you have a clasp that does not open, like if it's not an openable jump ring, so for example, if you want to use a closed jump ring or have one of those stitch-in kinds, like these little stitch-in ones, you can, at this point, string it, and or you can just add it later. So whatever you want to do is fine. So just bring that needle through, and it's going to snuggle right there on the side, just like that. Don't pull too tight because you don't want to pull your warp into the bead. Just let it go like that. And here's my 4-11-0. And if I was going to string on something that I wanted to stay centered, for example, if I was going to do one of these, I would go 2-11-0 and then go through the loop and then do 2-11-0. If it's a jump ring, just string it. It'll probably move around on you. Okay, so we're going to skip. We're exiting out of that bead. We're going to skip these 2 back and then just circle through. So just like this. You see those 2 beads there. I'm just going back through those 2. and it'll pop right like that for you. And you're right where you need to be to reinforce it. Oops. So come right back up. And go ahead and reinforce this at least, I don't know, 3 times at least. I'll just do one, but I won't weave in yet. But so just like that, you just want to loop around and reinforce that. When you get to the spot where you'd like to weave in, I got one more trick to show you, and then we'll close out class. When you're doing your weaving in, let's go back over here and show you on this side. I might need to trim that. Give me 1 second. So this only applies to loom pieces. It doesn't apply to square stitch. It's a nice little trick, but you'll have this option only on the loom version. But it's a nice, quick, easy way to weave in. So you remember all those little warps and wefts that we created when we were looming? Well, I'm going to just go ahead and jump over the warp. And this, I'm working now with the starting weft. You can go under them. So inside of every single one of these beads is a sandwich. There's a weft thread that's going on top of the warp threads. And remember, the warp threads are the ones that are running this way, right? And on top of every single one, there's a weft. And underneath every single one, there's a weft. Well, you can go under that and use that as a way to lock your thread in. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. I go under, under, under. Get through 3, 4 if you want. I got through 3, it looks like. See how I'm picking up just the top layer of thread there? Pull that tight. Not too tight, just gentle. Everything here now is going to be medium to light tension. Go through a few beads. I just kind of randomly went through 4. And then do that same thing again, picking up some of those wefts. See, just going right underneath those. I got 4 that time. They're hard to see, but so is your weave in. So if you can't see it while you're doing it, imagine how clean a finish this is. I would do it one more time and then trim it. So let's go through a few more. Got 1, 2, and 3. Did I get 3? No. That one's being stubborn. There we go. Okay. Get 3 there. And then go through the same bead that you just took the weft from so that you don't see the turn. And there you go. See, it's just vanished. It's gone. And it's a nice tight weave in. You can spin your beads around to get everything to even up. And burn that end off. Okay. And so I'll use this one over here to do my loop on this side. I'm going to reinforce this loop, and then I'm just going to weave in the rest of my strand here. And I'll be ready for next week with a nice piece. I'm also going to finish the square stitch version before next week so I can show you guys 2 different embellishment styles. So in case you haven't seen them, the handout for next week is here. And sorry, it's spring break is next week. Thank you, Kermie. Yeah, so next Friday we're all on spring break, so it's the Friday after that we'll be doing the embellishment. So you have lots of time to work on your base. Make a few of them so you can try different stuff. But we'll teach how to do this one, and we will teach how to do the beginner friendly version, which is just going zip, zip, zip out of it. And we'll also recap this finish also if you need to see that again. So don't worry, I know we kind of went really quick through that. So we'll do that again next week too. Handout's already online if you want to get a jump on it. Any questions for me? Did I miss anything too fast? That was a whirlwind. It was like, whoop, we did a lot of stuff.
Danielle, I always watch the clock, and I knew this was an intense class, so I didn't want to interrupt you at all. But of course, you know, not everybody has all the same supplies. So
Right.
Quick question, have you ever used Toho 1G thread for a project like this?
Yes, absolutely.
And you would recommend it?
Looming and square, beautiful. Works great.
Okay, thank you. That was
Yeah,
my
you can
only,
also
that
use
was
good
my only
thread.
class.
You can use good thread too. Yeah, like what you'll notice with good thread is that it will give you a more flowy square stitch. So if you want to try that, also works good.
Perfect.
Thanks, guys. So if you you saw the class we have coming up, but if you haven't seen it yet, we're also doing gift boxes. So that's going to be the class after our embellishment class. So that's also downloadable to check out now, and it'll be a nice little break from seed beads. We'll be doing lots of little flat bag looming. So that's coming up. And there's some other classes up there too that's going to use the new mix lines. So which side am I going? All of the new mixes that we have. I use every single one in a necklace. I went a little crazy. I'm sorry. But we're teaching that. We're teaching that in April. And then we have a couple other really fun ones. Like we've got the Bronze Age set, which uses some of the new Toho and Miyuki, and then combines it with some of these really cool little squares. These are little Czech glass squares. And then we have a Permalux project called Sunny Scallop, which comes out really, really pretty design. So that's what we've got coming up so far. And until next class, I wish you guys happy beading. And don't forget to tag us, hashtag John Bead and hashtag Make It with Michaels. And we love seeing your work. All right, guys, have a great weekend. So love to you.